a bottle and sing, ting. And if you see me, don't hesitate to pretend you can see me. This is the real me. From the time I bed and I leave, I done 1 minute for my leg. If them see a clip with me, tell them they don't know who they, but just want them for me. Post your thing, they don't talk
WEFM is SVG.
Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now. WhatsApp us or call us at 457-9997.
Good morning again. Welcome to Activated Mornings with Roleza and Dianna right here on the Clean Fresh Sound in 99.9 WEFM. As usual, we are here to keep your company through whatever you may be doing. Some of you are working, some of you are in your house doing chores, some of you are just relaxing at home. Some of you are doing little work around the house and you have your radio on, and we are so happy to keep your company. And we love having you as well. So give us a call as usual, to be a part of our program, 457-9997. All of those good things. Let us just talk, good vibes, good energy. Not a thing else over here. Good morning. Oh, and I am Dianna. Morning, Roleza.
All right. Good morning, Dianna. Good morning, SVG, region, world. Yes, everybody. All right. I hope that you all are doing fine for a 7:21 in the morning. Still quite early, so could only hope that the rest of the day will be a good one for many of you. All right. Whatever it is that you're up to. Kingstown is still relatively kind of busy as persons prepare for back to school, all that shopping that is happening to get the students prepared and ready for school. So Kingstown is still relatively busy-ish. All right. So just want to say good morning to everybody. All right. Let me say a special good morning to anybody working in the hot sun. Right. So to the gardeners, the construction workers, the fisher folk, the office attendants, right? Who else is we working in the sun? The delivery persons. I just want to say special good morning to y'all. I don't know how y'all does make it. I really don't know, right? Yesterday I had to go into town, and trust me, by the time I reach on my bed, I eat, that was it. I knock out for the rest of the day. Right? And I had plans. I had mental plans to get stuff done, but that sun just completely zapped all of my energy. So I don't know how many of you are making it, but remember the goal as well is to stay hydrated, eat as well, but also to stay hydrated. All right. So this sun, the
sun taking it job real serious.
A little bit too seriously. That is it. It's too seriously. But what we could do, we can't complain anymore. We live in the tropics. It's either rain going fall or sun going shine. All right. So. But it's just a lot more heated, right? So just special good morning to those folks, especially those who have to be working in this sun. Big up, y'all. Special big up.
All right, then. So let's head into our topic of discussion. I went on sometimes I have my little curiosities, little things that I was not aware of, until I see something. And then we come here and we have our little discussions. Remember that you can call us to give your opinions, your whatever comments and so on, right? So I was on the police Facebook page, and I noticed that they held something called the Commissioners Parade, and it reads, before most of the city stirred, the men and women of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force were already on the move. At 6:30 a.m., officers gathered at the Central Police Station and marched to Victoria Park for the 2025 Commissioners Parade, drawing together personnel from outstations, departments, units, specialized branches, including plainclothes officers. And the parade was a demonstration of discipline, structure, and shared purpose. And it finishes by saying the Commissioner's Parade remains one of the police force's hallmark traditions, reinforcing their commitment to readiness, accountability, and unity across all levels of the organization. This is what professionalism looks like. And there are some photos of the officers from the various units, as mentioned, the SSU, RRU, and the traffic department and other departments, right? That I don't know. But what was interesting to me is, at my big age, I ain't never heard of the Commissioner's Parade releaser. So I thought, what? It was so interesting to me because then I saw 6:30. I'm like, 6:30 a.m. They were lined up to march. Okay. In my mind, it's not something that they're expecting persons to look on at. To me, at least maybe the persons who happen to be in town all in the morning, maybe those who are going home from work the night before. But at 6:30 a.m., I mean, we're not on the road like that. But I think that it would be nice to see. I believe that you are not like me and that you do know about the Commissioner's Parade. So tell me a little bit more.
Yeah, well, it doesn't happen frequently. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be every quarter or something, but it doesn't happen very frequently. So which is probably why it's the first time that you're being made aware of it. But remember, it's also at 6:30. And the only reason why I knew of it happening before is that when I used to work in town, well, at one of the places that I used to work, I had to get into town very early to find parking. So because of that, getting into town for 6:30 or even before 6:30 to find proper parking was why I was aware of it. So I can't fault you for not knowing because it doesn't happen very frequently.
So you just saw the officers marching and you were like, what's going on? And you asked her and
Well, I saw them marching, but I realized that it was a march that tends to happen.
Oh.
Yeah. I didn't have to ask around.
Okay.
But yeah.
Okay. Well, just in case you listener, you saw those officers yesterday marching. It's not independence, you see. It's not independence. It's not anything of that sort. They just were having the Commissioner's Parade. I was seeing it for the first time. I would love to see it with live and direct with my own two eyes in person, but the pictures are lovely, and of course we have the technology to help us to see those things as well. So yeah, that's an interesting one.
I suppose I could probably ask somebody. Well, I know that what it is that you read, the description stated why it happens, but I suppose I could ask around to find out how frequently they
do that.
Prefer for it to happen, but prefer for it to happen as opposed to how often it happens, right? Because preference and it's actually happening is two different things. So I could probably find out. But yeah.
Right. So because I went on Google, I was trying to get how often it happens here as well, but I couldn't find that for us. But none of the things that it says is that the parade may include award presentations, promotions, and speeches and speeches and things like that. And I did notice an article from another island where they had a Commissioner's Parade as well, and they gave out awards and promotions and things like that. So it's this thing that just Dianna just learned about something new. All right. And if you are just learning about that, let us all come together and just give one big hug. Another thing that I've noticed for a while now, Roleza, I mean, we would come on here when we see crimes being committed. We will talk about we talk about the crime, we talk about the persons, and people not being able to control their anger, the various reasons why they commit crimes. And I was going through, as I would read through whenever the police post on their Facebook page, and I found it so interesting that you would see so many reports of assaults. So I started to think, well, even before we get to the shooting and the stabbing or whatever weapon they use to kill, we're having a whole lot of people just not keeping their hands to themselves, right? If you go to the police Facebook page, you're going to see a set of reports there. But this person assaulting this person. There's one from yesterday as well. I think 3 actually. three reports of assault, one where the person was wounded as well. So when you go to the Facebook page, you see all of this, and I just think, what's going on with us? To me, it seems like we have a problem, but keeping our hands to ourselves. Yeah.
Well, these are what you see and reported. Imagine what is not being reported.
And then that's another thing too.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's both men and women are guilty. I think maybe the ones against the women are just the ones not reporting.
And there's no specific age range either. So you can't say it's the older folks or it's the younger folks. When you go through it, it's all young, old, middle age, everybody assaulted.
Yeah, I think generally, because one of the things is that I don't know how many of us are taught how to just walk away. You are curse it out, right? If you just don't walk away, to curse it out. I think many times, especially if you have an object in your hand already or something is nearby, we tend to reach for it, right? As women, we like to pelt, right? Women have a tendency of pelting things. And, so that's why I said these are what you're seeing reported. And what you're probably not going to see is whatever incidents of a woman being involved, right? Because maybe, especially in a domestic situation, the man would not look to report the woman or report on the woman, right? But yeah, it's really about us being able to know how to walk away from a situation, to de-escalate situations. And cooling off, like how many persons know, especially if in a domestic situation where, you and your partner get into something, and as opposed to, let's say, picking up whatever it is that is closest to your hand, you say, you know what, let me just leave the house for a while. Let me go cool down. Let me go in that vehicle, turn on some music and cool down. How many persons know that? And you have to teach children as well from young, because you also see when children get into arguments, sometimes the first thing they look to pick up is a stone and pelt the stone, so it really is about conflict resolution, de-escalating situations, walking away, and thinking about the long-term consequences of your actions, because you just never know. As a child, you might throw a stone, you might damage the other child's eye, right? It could have long-term implications. As a spouse or a partner, you pelt something after the other individual, who knows what could possibly happen? You might pick up a knife, pelt that knife, stab the individual. You just never know. So sometimes we do also have to think about the long-term consequences, not just about what is going to happen to the individual who you've thrown or assaulted, but also your own life in terms of the trajectory of your life changing, where you could end up being imprisoned, or you could end up having a conviction or a criminal record. You have to stop and think many times. I know it's not always that easy, right? It's not always that easy for us to just walk away. And, many of us, we could get hot-headed within the moment, but sometimes we really do have to stop and think.
Yeah, it would be interesting to have a conversation with persons who have been convicted for cases like this, where you could have walked away, but you did not. And in that little moment where you thought you were just going to give a lash or hit back, it cost you a couple of years of your life, because then you had to put things on hold to go sit behind the prison bars and do some reflection. And it would be really interesting to speak with someone who unfortunately did something like that and the person died, to see how they feel knowing that they did not intend to kill that person. But because you couldn't control yourself, you give them a blow thinking it was just going to be a blow, and it was a final blow, and a whole thing just spilled out. Something changed.
Something like having a police record, because you're trying to find, okay, so you've gone to prison, or you've been fined or whatever, you have this record, and you're trying to find a new job to change the circumstances of your life. But some jobs ask for these criminal records, and when you have to go and you present it, now some persons might look so. I remember telling somebody once that somebody who kills another individual, it depends on what it is that they did or how they went about doing it, where I could actually forgive them, right? I could actually move on quicker from that, right? I would not necessarily hold it against them. And in that case, more manslaughter, right, than premeditated murder. But not everybody thinks that way. Some persons are going to say, well, you have a record, regardless of what the circumstances might have been. You having this record means you're automatically disqualified from having a job, but we come across different people in society, different types of employers, different people with different mindsets. So This is why sometimes thinking ahead also has to be important.
Yep. And with that, it is 7:34. Quickly approaching 7:35. We are going to head straight into today's traffic talk.
WEFM.